Today I'm going to be doing just a simple little lathe project. We've got a grandson, and last Christmas, his first Christmas, so I turned out a snowman. I have a block of wood and put the date on it, so I'm making another one this year for him. Put the year on it where he'll have one for his first two Christmases. So this is what I'm using today. This is a piece of maple. It was cut off of one of the trees that we had that was starting to die. And we had to cut it down. Do have a video on that if you want to check that out. It shows us cutting the tree down and removing it and getting rid of the debris. But I saved quite a bit of the old maple tree, and this is one of the limbs off of it. So I'm going to try to get started on this. We'll get this turned to shape, and I'll give you an update on how it's looking as I go along. And we're starting to get it into a shape that I can begin to plan out the snowman. A little bit more to do right in here. Wanted to show you how I lay out the snowman to get each segment the right dimension. You can see I have my dimensions from the one I made last year. So the very bottom of the snowman is 2 inches, and then the center, this is across. Center is 1.6, top is 1 1/8, and then the height is, as you can see there, I've got all that marked. So this is my first 2-inch segment from here to here. This is a second one, and what I'm doing here, I'm turning the center of the second one down to 1.6 inches, which is right there. Once I get the center, I measure the center of the segment. Once I get it to 1.6, I'll stop, and then I'll taper it both ways to make the shape of the snowman. Do the same thing on the bottom and the top. And then this is the hat. That's the brim of the hat. That's the top of the hat, and this will just be left over that I can cut off. And the way I measure the segments is with these calipers. I have this one set to 1.6, which is the center segment, the widest point. And so I'm getting close to it. A little bit more to go. Alright, we've about got the right shape, so I'm going to do some sanding now, and then we'll double check it again with the calipers and make sure that everything measures pretty close to the one I made last year. I want them to match as good as possible. So let me do some sanding and I'll show you what it looks like then. Alright, we're pretty good on the shape. Did have just a little bit of bark left on his hat brim, which that's kind of neat. I'll probably leave that, just sand it a little bit and smooth it up. But our shape's pretty good. I'm going to do some sanding now, and then we'll recheck the dimensions and make sure it's all correct before we go any further. I think we're going to stop right there. Looks pretty good. Was able to keep a little bit of that bark on his brim of his hat. I'll cut it off. You can see this mark I've made here. That's the top of his hat, so I'm going to cut it as far down as I can with the lathe tool, and then I'll finish it with a saw. Then the next thing we'll do, after we get it sanded, we'll put a finish on it. I still have to cut the hole for his nose, and I kind of want to let that bark show along with these two knots here that are still present. So probably put his nose right in here, and like I did on the other one, I'll draw a couple of eyes on it and a mouth, and a little scarf that we put on the one last year. And then on the bottom, I'll put the year. I'll burn it with a wood burning tool. Put 2020 on it, and it'll be finished. All right, we're ready to put the nose on. And I marked right there with that black dot where I want to put it. That way the bark edge will show on the hat, and a couple of the knots there at the bottom. And I just made it out of took a little piece of maple, turned it down, and you'll notice it's wider on one side, but the reason I've done that is so when I drive it in, it'll be good and tight where I'm going to bore the hole at. This is after a couple of coats of polyurethane. That maple, I think it looks better just with a clear finish on it. And I leave the lathe running just to help it dry. And there's what it looks like with the poly on it. I haven't put the nose in yet, but I have the hole bored for it and it fits okay, so I'll do that when I paint the eyes and paint the mouth on it. And we're about finished with this snowman. I like that maple, it's a pretty wood. Turned out really well. And here's the finished snowman. He now has a nose and a mouth and eyes. And of course we put a scarf around his neck to keep him warm. So I hope you've enjoyed the video on making the snowman on the wood lathe. Take care. See you next time. We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button. And we'd love it if you would subscribe to our channel. Thanks.